Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learned in the progression from it to the full product? Well, in the preliminary task, it was basically kind of breaking it down into chunks to film it. So filming me walking up to the door and then stopping filming, then filming me from the other side of the door and then stopping, and then just kind of doing it like that. But I learned from making this film that it's easier to film it all in one and then just cut it up into bits, which I've done with just a clip of me kind of sitting there being all depressed and stuff. And yeah, for that scene where I'm just kind of sat on my own in a room, I've had to mute it for some parts because there were people walking about in the next room and we could hear them. And there was a toilet next to it, and at one point the toilet flushes, thanks to my drama teacher, thank you. Yeah, so I've had to mute that and cut the end off where I'm laughing at that. So muting and cutting, they're two very important things I've learned. And then there's detaching the sound, which I've done. There's one bit when me and Naomi are having an argument and she says something like, well, everybody hates me for being friends with you. And so I've taken the sound from that, just her saying her line, and I'm going to put it over another bit. It's taking the sound from one clip and putting it over the top of another. That's simpler. So that'll be a good effect for kind of making it sound more like a memory. Another thing with the little clips is kind of changing the colour and the speed and the direction and things like that. So I've reversed one clip because there's one of me kind of pushing a branch away with my hand, and I've put a title screen, and then I've reversed that so it looks like I'm putting the branch back. I thought that was quite good. And then changing the colour for certain parts are in different kind of styles. So memories are in a kind of, it's kind of fuzzy. It's called bleach bypass, I think, and I've messed with the exposure on that so it makes it a bit brighter. So that looks kind of more like a memory to when I'm actually sat in a room where I've used something called hard light, which makes it kind of darker and more kind of edgy, so that looks good and that kind of distinguishes them from each other. Something else that I've learned to do is changing the speed. There's one bit I didn't know I was filming, so this was quite handy, and we kind of swung the camera around and it's kind of like a sweeping shot, kind of panning around, and but we did it quite slow, and so I've spun that around. I've made that quicker, so it's kind of like a point of view shot of somebody kind of just turning around to see the school. Well, a part of the school that looks quite ominous in the style that I filmed it. So yeah, that's creating the kind of well, I wouldn't have been able to do that just doing the preliminary task. Something else that I've learned is that there are more problems than I anticipated there to be, like on the set that we used for the argument, which was going to be the main part of my film, but because of problems with it I've had to change that. The floor was really unstable, so with the tripod it was all kind of jerky and you couldn't hear the speaking over the rattling of the wheels. So I had to find a way around that, and that was difficult. Well, I didn't really find a way around it, I just kind of used the clips as much as I could, and if they were too shaky, like I said earlier, detach the sound and move it to somewhere else. That worked out better than I thought it would. Another thing is things in the background that I didn't want. So like we were filming at one point and there was a class walking behind us, so I've had to refilm that. And then there's sound as well. We could hear the class. It was PE, so it was quite loud. and there was a lorry or some kind of vehicle behind us, and then it was a really windy day, so it was difficult to get the voice to be so clear. On the final shot, I wouldn't have thought about all of that in a preliminary task. I can't say that word, seriously. I've learnt a lot since the preliminary task, so I think that's it. I'm not quite sure how to end this. Bye.